am Marie, your host of Unfostered. I'm so glad you're here with us, whether you're listening in, watching, whatever it may be. You all know that the stories are real, the stories are hard, but this is a safe space so you can say what you feel. And I have with me today Lora. Tell us something about Miss Lora.
Hi, my name is Lora, and I'm excited. I'm excited about this series. I'm excited about the stories that I'm going to hear also.
Yeah.
But I'm excited to be a part of it.
Yeah. Tell them a little bit about what it is you're doing, because we want to make sure that we're able to show testimony
Okay.
in our stories.
Definitely. So my husband and I, we co-own Williams Career School of Excellence, and this is a trade school that offers trades like CNA, nursing assistant, medical assistant, HVAC, which is the AC. So what you think about in demand, that's what we typically offer. We have roughly about 4 to 5 programs that we facilitate year-round. We have a small team. We're small but mighty. And we also have a 501c3 treasured protege. And our focus for that is housing, education, mentorship. This weekend, we have a Bible college conference that we're hosting underneath that umbrella, where we're just honestly equipping other believers and women who have a calling. But honestly, we know life, right? Life happens. And we're doing it in a college. We're doing it at the Texas State University because we want to give them tools, right? So that's the biggest highlights. I'm a published author and I do some speaking engagements. Honestly, what I tell my students is that anywhere there's support and helping, right? I'm always in serving people, because there were people in my life, as we'll probably talk about today, that was significant to who I am. Number one, God first, right?
Come on now.
He utilized different people, their lives, their stories, or just them being present. And I just want to be that for people. So anything that has to do with me has to do with empowering someone else.
Come on now. And I think that we share that, and that we are blessed through serving.
Yeah.
And so even if it's in this capacity, like as long as we know that we're serving God and we're able to be a servant in some form of fashion, it gives us joy. So y'all, we're blessed with that. We're blessed by that.
All day.
And I wanted to get the formalities out the way. I want people to know where you are now, but you know, this is just, and we chop it up all the time.
Definitely.
And so this is just a comfortable space for you to be able to tell that story and minister to another Lora that's out there.
Definitely.
So that's what this is.
Awesome.
So with that, so a lot of the people who have come and shared their stories and stuff have been affected by foster care in one way or another.
Right.
And that mirrors your story, but yours is a little different in how it was presented, right?
Yeah, definitely. So I, first of all, I was raised by my grandparents, my grandmother and my grandfather. And at a point of being in their house, we experienced sexual abuse and molestation. My mom never was fit at any point. So even though my grandmother before foster care didn't have guardianship, she was the core, caretaker, her and my grandfather. Once that abuse became, illuminated, if you would, because it was there, right? And not from them, but from her child, my uncle, my dad. Once that became illuminated, sorry about that, we then had CPS. And what actually brought CPS in the picture, to just give clarity to that, is actually because we grew up in the South. I'm from Louisiana, and we got spanked, And I've obviously learned that there's a healthy way of that, right? But because of one of the spankings I got, I had webs on my body. And I know that line is more in the abuse department, but we were adjusted to that. That was normalized. And I couldn't sit in the desk. It was 3rd grade, and interesting enough, the teacher's name was Miss Williams. I remember it. It's my last name, so I thought that was interesting. But she noticed that I couldn't really sit down comfortably in the chair, and obviously they're required to report. And that's actually how CPS kind of started, as I could recall.
Okay.
And just paying attention to our family. And then once the abuse became a thing, you maybe have a follow-up question about that. That's when I was taken from foster care. Into foster care.
Yeah. And so what all are you uncomfortable with sharing?
Nothing.
Okay.
I'm a book. I told you I'm an open book. I'm at a point in my life, I've healed, I've processed quite a bit with God. And I know my story is not just for me anymore. I've told many people my stories, young people, youth, women, because I want people to understand that it's not the end, right? Like it doesn't have to define you. So I'm happy that we started with the highlights, but even if I didn't do the school, if I wasn't doing the nonprofit, just to be in my mind, just
Okay.
to have a sound mind,
Amen.
right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
have a family that, we didn't create that same cycle is enough, right? I think it's like an icing on a cake that God has said, okay, do this, do that, do that.
Yeah.
But honestly, just to have my mind and to live a life that I didn't experience in my youth, God has done more than enough.
I mean, chain breaker, chain breaker in the room.
Yeah.
I used to not want to call myself a chain breaker because I wanted to make sure I was giving God glory and I wasn't being so boastful.
Gotcha.
And somebody corrected me and was like, no, that's what God made you to be. So
Come on.
it's okay to accept that title.
I
So
love that.
chain breaker to chain breaker.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you're comfortable with diving into it,
Yes.
do you remember the start of the sexual abuse, where it
Where it
started?
began?
And yeah.
So I know that from my recollection, it started with my uncle, which was my grandmother's son. So this was a relative. And I remember that I was trying to let her know that this was happening in my own way because I was very, very young. So I would leave things that were bloody out just so she can ask me. For some reason, I didn't have a voice to just say, hey, Granny, this is what's, we didn't call her Granny, we called her Madea, but hey, Madea, this is what's happening. So I would do things like that so she can say, girl, what happened? And then for her, just because she asked the question, it gave me permission to tell the truth. It was weird, but I just remember that struggle of just saying it. Even with that evidence, though, the uncle at the time that did that, he would say I let a boy in the house, or he would blame it on that, and she would immediately, take his side. And I'm like, at that point, honestly, boys were yucky. I didn't even see them. Like,
How old were you?
I mean, for the one that I mentioned with Miss Williams, that was she was a third grade teacher. So you can just think in that window, because I know that because of trauma, there's gaps in your memory, right? It's weird how certain things are more prominent and then some things are like a blur. So to me, that's more of the standpoint that I use because I remember that moment. I remember the teacher. I remember. So it was around that same time that.
The third grade is like 10, 11 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so it started with your uncle.
Yes, from what I can recall. Mm-hmm.
When you say you would leave bloody things, are you talking about like your undies and stuff like that?
Yes. And I would just leave it like out, like on the wash, like I have a vision now of the wash, like right on top of the wash machine, because I knew that she would ask. But for whatever reason, I just didn't I don't remember feeling like I could say it.
Yeah.
Just come out. So I would do things like that. I almost felt like I was probably nonverbal to some degree for some reason, but which makes sense now, right? Hindsight 2020, but it was my way. I remember that was my way to make her ask me the question. And then I would just have the permission to tell her exactly what happened. But every single time I would do anything that, I would answer, this is what's happening, she would always take his side.
Do you think that some part of her believed you and she just didn't want to acknowledge that this is what is happening?
Yeah, I think so. And the reason I say that, looking back, working with women who've experienced different types of abuse, I don't think you ever want to hear that your child, because she's like mom to us, right, is experiencing something that you maybe had experienced too. You think about it, she was born in 1933. This is a generation where, you don't tell your business, you suck it up. As I, had come to learn her story, it made sense. Like the understanding led me even closer to forgiveness for her, because I understood that this is what you were built. This is the system that you were built into. So I don't think she had what she needed to be able to respond properly.
Yeah.
I loved her no matter what, to be honest. Like, it was easier slightly to forgive her than my mom, for instance, right? Because she did so much. It's kind of like you're weighing these little things, right? To see like risk and benefits. So she had a lot more on her side because I understood that she took us in. She's literally in retirement age. She had retired. and she's raising us, so I understood the sacrifice, but definitely it caused a great detriment to us,
Oh yeah.
to me. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
sure. What about with your dad? Like, what was that?
Like,
Because if you were, it started with your uncle, and so we're looking at about 10, 11.
yeah, maybe even younger,
Yeah,
actually.
I was gonna
Yeah.
say
It was
that you can
probably,
remember.
yeah, it was probably younger because our uncle was staying with us, and that's how they had access. He had access. So when my dad, that part of the incident happened, he was staying with us again. So it's access, right? So I think that's something for people to pay close attention to.
Your dad was staying with you.
Yeah, he was staying with my grandmother, yeah, at her house, because my mom never was. By then, to give a little backstory of my mom, she was what we would call sex trafficking today. She was a minor when she met my dad. So a lot of the behaviors, the drug use was introduced because of the lifestyle. He pimped her.
Yeah.
He was a pimp, period. So there was a point in where he stayed with us and her because she would go in and out of the house because of drug use. She's a victim of crack cocaine use. So
I know
she
how that
wasn't,
is.
yeah, she wasn't consistent in the home.
Yeah.
So for whatever reason, this time he was there with her. And what would happen is once he would finish with her, he would come over, and literally I would be laying on a sofa in the same room, and he would, have his way with me. So that's how that would happen.
And you mean,
Yes.
so well, I just want to make sure I'm breaking it down and correct me,
Yeah.
please.
Yeah.
I hope that there's some correction here.
Okay.
But what I'm understanding is that you would be in the room with mom and dad, sleep while they were having sex, and then he would finish having sex with her, leave her is she still in the room?
She's still in the room.
She's still in the room, and then he was coming over to
Yes.
the couch that you were sleeping on and having sex with you.
Yes. Or he would leave the bed with her and come. Yes. It happened that night. My grandmother's sleeping. No one's aware.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you think mom knew?
Oh, yeah.
Because I can't see how.
I couldn't see how either. Yeah, she did. There's other incidents. There's an incident that I could recall where she definitely was a facilitator of some sort. So if she didn't know,
Yeah.
it would be weird.
Impossible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She knew. She was, when I think about her, I think she's like in her 50s, early 60s now. Still living. Her mindset though was like, even now it's a teenager. Like the development because of the trauma, because of the, when she met him, she was a teenager. She's way behind.
She's still there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In regards, we know that trauma can cause people just to get stuck. So I don't understand how much of, if you had a person who had their sound mind developing correctly without these type of experiences, we would expect a total different response. But
Yeah.
I want to give weight to her history and why this probably was a complete open door for our family and for me.
I think that something we do because we're Christian women is almost and I'm glad that you and I are coming out of doing that and really speaking our truth and our story and saying, hey, look, this is what happened, and I'm not trying to hurt you with my story.
Right.
But this is the truth, and this is what happened.
Right.
But I think that for a lot of us, we pick the savior. And I'm not talking about Jesus, because he is our savior now. But
Yeah.
a lot of us, we pick
I
a
agree.
savior, the person that kind of looked out for us the most in that
I agree.
situation,
Yeah.
and then softened the blow when it came to them.
Yeah, I agree. I think that was my grandmother for me. And that's why
Yeah.
I mentioned, like, she had more on her side because I could understand and see that she's raising us, she's feeding us, she's keeping a roof on her. There's a level of respect that's there that's not given to anybody.
Yeah.
And my grandfather, he was an alcoholic, and he would go, he was severely at times like, what is the word I'm looking for? Like, he just wasn't sound in aspects because he would overly indulge on alcohol. Now, he's a hard worker. Again, thinking about the generation, right? A man was a provider. That emotional connection was not the focus. That's not how they grew up, right? So when he came home from work, he tossed the bottle. Sometimes he would come home drunk, and my grandmother did not like that. So I saw my grandfather pistol whooped. They would fight.
Your grandma pistol whipped your grandfather?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Oh, yes, ma'am. She told me, my brother, I remember, as like frozen because she couldn't stand when he would come in just stumbling drunk.
Yeah.
It was just a trigger for her. I learned that her previous husband was very abusive, so I believe she became the abuser,
Wow.
in this relationship. But yeah, when he would come stumble, we knew things were like, I remember just seeing us like frozen because we knew things were about to go down. And I remember this one incident where she was like, go get the pistol, the gun. And we're like, we love him. So we're like, look, and she said, if you don't, and I'm running to go get the gun, right? And she beat him up with the gun for coming in drunk and intoxicated. So he wasn't present in the way that I knew that if he understood what happened, and I know that just from, things past this, right, that he would have definitely put his foot down, right? But he was in his own, stuff.
So he wasn't aware of the abuse.
No.
Wow.
No, I don't even remember telling him, interesting enough. Like I remember it was always my grandmother, and I think because she was the most active, right? It's just like a mom and a husband that's tapped out. Like, who's the child going to go to? They're going to go to mom. That's just a natural thing. And I'm thinking that's why, he had his own, he would work, he would come home, and he would drink. So that was the process. So he wasn't engaged at all. Now, I'm sure he became aware because, what happened, fast forward, that uncle that had started it, me and my brother, we number one, we wanted her to catch him in the act. So he started to then abuse one of the other siblings.
The uncle.
Yes. And my brother and I stayed in the closet because we knew, I don't know, like with trauma, sounds are very like highlighted. I don't know how to explain it, but that. So we knew like when the key would turn, like we just knew when she was home. We could hear the car, and not that the car was loud. I think it's just a trauma response.
Yeah.
And two, I'm sure it's because of what was happening to us, that person covering the act. We start to pay attention to what's happening and the details of that. So anyway, we're hiding in the closet because we're determined. Me and my brother, we're determined to get him caught. And sure enough, we hear the key, we hear the door, we scream, and she catches him in the act.
Actively abusing one of your other sisters.
Yeah. So then it's undeniable, and she stabs him. Yeah, she didn't kill him.
But she stabbed.
But she did. She stabbed him. The police came. Obviously now whatever was in the house is now being, it's known, and that's how we entered into foster care system.
How long did you stay in foster care?
I remember being there for a full Christmas. I feel like it was a year or more. This is why this has a gap. It's because we were placed into this home in St. Marville, Louisiana. And the dad, he began to physically abuse us. So we went from one aspect of abuse, and we went into the home, of this couple, and he would beat us. He would have us on our knees day and night. Like we would have to stand, like be on our knees right in front of his doorway while they slept. Me and my sibling would be on our knees while they slept. It was extreme. Like it felt even worse, right? It's so weird how we do that when you're young. Like I would rather be home,
I was literally sitting here thinking there were plenty of times where I was like, y'all could have left me where I was at.
Literally, like what is this about? Yeah, and it would be like little things like we said TV. I remember this like clearly. And just because we said TV and not television, we were getting beat or we were getting punished. And these were people that looked like us. These were black people. These weren't not that it could be any other race, but it didn't make sense how severe they were correcting our grammar, our behavior, almost as if they didn't belong. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? It just didn't make any sense at all. And this is the time where paddling was still in school. Like I remember seeing a young lady in the hallway of the school being whipped with a paddle. Like that's how far back this was. And it's interesting. I feel like now looking back, because I can see these things clearly as we're talking about them. I remember that school looking dark, and I know they had lights in that school, but I'm wondering if that was a reflection of my brain at the time, because I remember that hall looking long at that school, and this was a small area, like it's it's not even that big now, but I just now think like, wow, that must have been a reflection of how I perceived because of all of the trauma, and now I'm in a house away from what I know, and we're experiencing another aspect of trauma. It was stupid. Like at this point, it was just like, it was a lot.
I wonder, how was your relationship with your mom? Because I found out recently, because my mom does the podcast with me a whole bunch of the time.
Okay.
And that's a God thing.
I understand.
That's a God thing. And so I look at the relationship that she did not have with my older sister, and how, like, recently she was telling me that there were times where Jamie would sleep. My older sister's name was Jamie, but Jamie would sleep with her boyfriends. And she was like, yeah, she would sleep with my man. And I was like, but was he your man though?
Yeah.
But because this was your daughter. And so even with all of the healing and all of that, just her still looking at it like that, instead of saying the man I was with abused my daughter, because your daughter was still a child.
Not
and so he was, I mean, even if she had said, sure, a child can't give consent.
No.
So hearing her say that and understanding her view on it, I know has a lot to do with their relationship or their lack of relationship. And so I'm wondering if you and your mom ever felt close enough so that she could recognize that this was a problem. Like,
not at all. Not at all. We have never had that deep of a conversation. And that also goes into play when I mentioned her delay.
Wait, you've never had a...
Not to that depth where, I don't even know if I've ever accused her in anger. Because a lot of times, when you're growing, it's like, you knew this, you did. I don't remember. I wanted her to be home so bad. And I always, you had that when you're young and you don't have that person that's prominent, you also feel like, what did I do?
Yeah.
For some reason, that message becomes a part of your narrative. So my grandmother always taught us to give some context to that whenever she came home, we never was to disrespect her. So we never challenged her in any way, shape, or form. We never had those difficult conversations. 2, we wanted her to feel at home because I felt like we wanted her to stay. So we did whatever we could, thinking that that was going to change anything. But anytime she was home, so we were taught that. So I don't think, maybe we've argued about the drugs. Yes. Because at this point, once I figured, okay, grandma and grandpa's here, I eventually, you're getting to a point where you realize you don't really need them to be what you thought you need them to be.
Right.
So more, it's like, why are you choosing the drugs over us? Those are the type of conversations we've had. But I never really, and maybe because I could understand that she delayed, from a delayed standpoint, we couldn't have a very constructive conversation. So I don't think I ever expected an apology, whereas some people may come into this healing process thinking, I don't think for anybody that I ever expected that. I knew that once God started leading me to this process of forgiveness, that it didn't matter if they would ever come back and tell me that they're sorry.
I required one.
Well,
I
that's
was
good.
I wanted my mom to take accountability, and she kept giving me a bunch of excuses, and I'm like, it's not an excuse anymore though, because I have my own kids, and so I could never let them go through that, and so I need for you to take accountability, and I need for you to say you're sorry. And she did, and it meant absolutely nothing because it was so surface. And I was like,
there's no depth to it.
Yeah,
right?
I was like, that didn't feel the way it very recently. She, after I wrote my book, she read the book.
Okay.
And when she read the book, I asked her about it, and she said it made me sick.
Wow.
And I was like, what? And she was like, yeah, it made me sick to my stomach. And she looked at me, and this was not like because when I required my apology before, it was a whole process. It was an intentional thing. Now say sorry, you know. And this was not that. She read the book and she was like, I get it. And she looked at me and she was like, Marie, I am truly sorry. Ooh. I really am sorry. And that was the first time
that you could tell,
that I could tell that she got it. And that apology, not the forced one, but that one is the one that mattered to me and stuck out.
Yeah,
but you were, I mean,
maybe because she read it. You know, when you read something, you're able to digest it. Whereas when you are being accused, because we're making an accusation, like you didn't do this or you did this. Immediately, naturally, we're all going to feel defensive, and just based on their own, you know, not to give excuse. I just think, I wonder, because she had to sit with the words, that it made her actually digest the impact of your life.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely, because we were doing one of the podcasts and she admitted, she was like, when you all went to foster care, I thought, okay, great. I don't have to worry about the kids. I can go and do what I want to do.
Yeah.
And she was like, I never knew that you all were not safe.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, we weren't safe at all.
Yeah.
Like, it got
I
way
just heard
worse.
somebody else say a similar response. That's interesting to me.
Yeah, what?
I just think that's interesting that that's the assumption.
That's that we're okay.
That's all. Like, there's no follow-up, no proof.
It's almost like they're looking for a reason to, an out. Like, they're, okay, bam, you're good.
You're good.
I'm gone. And no, we were not. We were not.
Yeah.
Your story impacts me so much because I didn't have my dad the way that I needed to have him, but I still ended up being a daddy's girl.
Yeah, wow.
Like, Dad did drugs too. He was absent too. He hollered. My mama did more than my dad did, but I gave her way less leniency than I gave him.
Interesting.
Yeah, I actually gave him way more because he was gentle with me and he was loving and caring. And my mama was just, bam, that's what it is. Bow, move out the way. Like, she was just, so I didn't get to gravitate towards her. I gravitated towards my aunt that raised me, and that's a whole nother, you know. But when I hear your story and know that the connection that I got with my father, there would be no way for you to have that with your dad. Because how long did the abuse go on?
It continued. I mean, once we got back, so just going back to that foster care story, I have to tell this because I don't look like this person today. So I was so protective. You know, you in that environment, I'm the oldest girl. We have a brother that's 1 year older than me, but there's a lot of scripts that start to play out because you're the oldest. And I was so tired of them abusing us and my siblings. So one day I planned to escape, because they would keep the money that they would get from the state for us in this little lockbox. And I had made a whole plan. I put that money in a big old purse, grandma purse, and we lived in San Marville, so it was country area. And I got matches, and I was setting stuff on fire. I was trying to get up and get out.
This is at the foster home,
At the
right?
foster home. Yeah. At the foster home, yeah. And it, that grass was, by that third match was like, shoo. It's not funny, y'all. I do not condone.
No, but it's the truth.
I was just thinking, we need a house. That, though. And I was tired. It almost kind of sounds like one of those movies, but we ain't going to talk about that movie. But anyway, so obviously I didn't succeed. He pulls up, the foster dad, like a rat at that point. Like, I think he would have probably done damage because it was dry. The seat, in their house is like a mobile home. It would have been horrible. So thank God. I mean, he protected me from, I'm sure, some replications at that point. But the CPS worker comes, and she asks why, and I tell her, and you already know how that went. That didn't go anywhere, because they side with them. Yeah. And so either way, again, I have gaps, and it's because of the abuse that we experience in the home. So eventually we get back placed with my grandmother. We get back placed in a different home, though, in that she's sober, because she used to drink too. I don't think we saw a gun in the house after that. She got saved.
Amen.
So now church becomes a part of the narrative, and she has legal guardianship now.
Whereas so before it was just she had y'all.
My mom would just drop us off.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm familiar with that.
Yeah. So she would just drop us off, but now there's a legality part of it. So fast forward, there's obviously a gap of time. The uncle, her son that she stabbed, he actually did time. He did time.
Okay.
So he was, no longer in the home. My dad, however, his level of abuse or what he did was never discovered because he stayed for that period of time in and out because she discovered that became the focus, right? So he never got any conviction. It never was outed that he was also abusing me, So he re-entered at points of our story. He introduced me to pornography when they had the books. He was a very perverted guy,
Who introduces their daughter
Yeah, he was
to
just sick.
pornographic
He was sick.
books?
Yeah, he was sick. And how I say smart, I use this very lightly, but how intelligent he was from a criminal standpoint is when he was close to getting caught, I feel like he knew it, he would actually commit himself into a mental institution. That's how he avoided conviction. But if you look at his history now, he's passed on. He did get convicted for sexual battery because he did it to other kids. So it wasn't just us, he was who he was and all of it. But his part of my story is what I was trying to get to was it didn't end at foster care. Even though we came into this home, it's better, God becomes a part of the narrative because he was not ever before. I remember that his sister stayed in the neighborhood, and I remember a moment where I went to meet him because, again, you're looking for that fatherly, even in my mom I was, And I remember visiting, I don't even know why we went over to his sister's house, but and this is how I knew this was a pattern of the family, because she literally pointed me to the room for him to do that. Like it was a thing. And this is after foster care. So I would say for me that that abuse did not end until maybe I was 15, 14, because there were situations where
It was still happening.
it was still happening.
What in the world? So you didn't have any woman
No.
that said,
And maybe this is why I didn't like women back in the day. I didn't like.
I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah, and I didn't realize it. I mean, I do now, but yeah, I didn't care for girls. Like I didn't care to have that. I had friends who were girls, but I hung with the guys more.
Yeah.
I did, which seems weird, but I felt more protected with the guys from the hood. They knew us. We grew up together. You know what I mean? So it was a respectful, exchange, right? But no, I didn't. Like in reality, I can't even think of one that would have been responsible, right? And be able to see the signs or no.
Look at how the enemy works.
Yeah.
Because for you to go to, it's bad enough that the place that you call home, you're being abused in.
Right.
And your mom is not protecting
Right.
you. Grandma saw signs. You said this is what's happening, but uncle came in and said, nope, this is what's happening. And so grandma didn't protect you. And then you go to your aunt's house. So it's not even in your house. You go to another place and another woman
they
who
set up the
should
scene.
have
Yeah.
protected you
Yeah.
sent you into the space
Yeah.
to be abused.
Yeah, very sick family. Very sick family. Yeah, and it wasn't just this one uncle. There's another uncle that was in. So it was a generational curse. Period. On both sides of the family. It wasn't just my daddy's side. It was also on my mom's side. And yeah.
So your grandma was your mom's mother.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
It-
Yeah.
So this was, wow.
So it was on both sides of the family. Both sides of the family. Yeah, because I later found out that my mom had got raped. She got molested. She had a similar. So it was in that family network on both ends of it. So we were in a situation where it was not winning for losing. Like I do feel like there was a level of covering, because if my mom did at a point think that she could take care of me and my siblings, I feel like obviously those experiences would have been even excessive, because she was addicted to crack. She was on the streets, no telling what type of decisions she would have made with us, so I feel like there was a level of, protection in that regard. But no, on both sides of the family, you see this same dad addiction, yeah, it was ridiculous.
This is why you said, even if it wasn't for the school or the anything else, just being in my right mind.
No, for real.
Lord, and not
Yeah.
repeating the cycle.
Yes.
Because one thing I love to give God glory for, and I've talked about it on here before, is that I didn't repeat it.
Yeah.
Because my older sister died a victim. She never had the opportunity to come out of that.
Yeah.
And she lost her kiddo. She, used drugs like Holiday did, like my mama did, and all of those things. She never got a chance to come out of that.
Yeah.
And so I look at that and I just have to give God
Gotta say
glory
thank
for
you.
that.
I mean,
thank
who else?
you.
Like,
thank you.
Yeah. Because when people be like, "You're not giving," I remember when I used to tell my story at the very beginning, right? People will say that, like, "You're giving a lot of glory to you did." Like, no, you don't understand.
No, you don't understand.
Like, you can look at the statistics, and there's evidence in our lives that
You can look at your and I can't speak for you,
Yeah.
but I can look at my sibling
Yeah.
and I can say that's what the enemy wanted.
Yeah, that's what his intentions
Is
were.
for it to be repeated that way,
Definitely.
and it didn't.
Definitely.
And so you don't understand. It's not a Marie thing because Marie wasn't even strong enough.
Not at
to
all.
Not pull my. It's a God.
It
thing.
is only him. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I can't give myself that much credit.
No.
I was a hot mess. There was a lot, and I don't think we really understand. Like this weekend, I'll be talking about trauma and how it impacts our identity, but I don't think we really understand the weight of trauma. I don't think we understand how it actually, how we show up has all to do with the things we haven't healed, right? The reason that we're able to show up this way is because we've processed a lot of this, and it's still a process. Like, I'm not even saying I'm finished,
Absolutely.
but I'm just saying, like, if I didn't do a lot of that work as a teenager and really start seeking God and asking him the hard questions about why, what is this about? What are you going to do about it? I wouldn't have been able to show up in the way. There's no way I would be running a business. I mean, maybe there's somebody doing it, and I get that people do it and they don't even acknowledge God. I totally understand. But there's a part of you that's shut off. You cannot tell me that.
Listen.
Yeah.
There's no way.
Yeah.
There's no way
Yeah.
that I could have been even okay. And so I hear people say you don't look like what you've been through. I don't know if that makes sense anymore.
No. Yeah. There's a lot of people.
I don't know if that makes sense anymore.
Yeah, that's true.
Because here's why. I can't look like what I've been through. Because what I used to be like, well, if God is a just God,
Come on
this is not justice.
Then
So, and I'm hurting God. And you
Yeah,
said that you were with me if I'm hurt. You said that you were a just God. How are you showing
Yeah.
up for me?
Yeah.
And he said, just like this.
Yeah.
Because then you get to pour justice onto other people. You get to keep talking and saying what's going on, and you share your story.
Yeah, you get
Your
to
story was
advocate.
not for you. I made sure you were okay when you came out of it so that you could share your story.
Yeah.
God didn't do those things to me.
No.
He didn't do those things to me, but he made sure I came out okay.
Yeah.
That's him being just.
He had a plan.
Yeah.
Yeah. He always has a plan.
Him being just and making sure, hey, you could have ended up like a whole bunch of other people.
Yeah.
But I'm going to make sure you're okay with this. I'm going to show you justice
Yeah.
right here.
Yeah.
And just to be able to understand that and know that the intention behind what he didn't cause it.
No.
But he'll use it.
He will. That's
And
what the word says.
Letting him be able to use it because somebody used theirs.
Yeah.
Somebody used their trauma.
Yes.
My mentor, Pearl Willis in Chicago, doing great things. She was so open about her story. I was like, oh. Oh.
Yeah.
But when I got ready to do this, I thought about her being open and honest with her story.
Yeah, that's the only way. Like
Yeah.
when you asked me, I was like, that's easy.
Yeah.
Let's do it. I'll do it with tears, snot. It don't even matter. Because I know it's hard for people to understand when you're in it. And even if you're an adult woman in our age group and you still haven't processed that, I just want people to understand that there is a way out. Like there is a process, and let God process you. Don't avoid the process, because I don't want to be like 60 and I'm crying about something that, was valid. Now, I'm not trying to invalidate that, but I don't want to feel like I'm 5.
Yeah.
At 60 years old.
Yeah.
Like why? When there's a lot of room, we're here for a purpose. And I believe that in order to give him glory, we just need to work that process. So, yeah. What other question you got?
Yeah.
Because we can get going, and I know you got some questions. So.
No, I do. I don't understand how you can. So can I ask you, your
ask me whatever.
relationship with, and I love that about you. I appreciate
Yeah,
that.
you can ask me anything.
Your relationship with your mom now.
Okay.
Because through this conversation, you've mentioned that dad is now gone.
Yes, he is.
And you never, how could you ever even have a close bond with him?
I went through a process of forgiveness. Even after I left home, so I left home and went to Job Corps at the age of 16. So I left Lafayette, Louisiana, because I heard God's voice audibly the first time, and I haven't heard his voice in that way, in that form. But I left home to unknown world. That's what I felt like, to San Marcos, Texas. And I went to Job Corps. But that's where my process of healing started, was at the Job Corps campus. Even while I was there, though, I still maintained communication with my dad. My mom, again, she was so wasted on the drugs, and that there was never that communication in that way because of just crack and what it does to them. But I would take calls. He would write letters, very inappropriate letters. Mind you, it never was appropriate. He would call me. So I would try to be like, "Hey, Dad," blah, 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 and try to keep it, professional, if you would. And it would always cross that line. And then I would just have to hang up. But here I am trying to create something that never could exist, right? So as I'm processing that and being hurt really every single time and disappointed every single time, every single letter, what really put the nail in the coffin, if you would, was that he called me one day and I had stopped taking his calls.
This is why you're at Job Corps.
At Job Corps. And one of the calls, he lied and he said my grandmother was in the hospital because he was upset. He was angry that I left home because in his mind, he can't have control, right? No access. And so I'm thinking, I'm hysterical. I'm worried. I'm thinking I got to leave. So I call her and I'm like, "Grandma, what's going on? My dear, blah, blah, blah." "Girl, I'm okay." And
wow.
And it just, that was it for me, because I'm like, you're lying, you're manipulating. So just like the light bulb went off, almost like, he's never going to be what you think you need right now.
He's not capable.
So immediately I tell my RA, I showed them the letters. I'm like, I don't want to receive calls. Who do I need to talk to make sure that he doesn't have access to me anymore? So I found myself, and I actually know this person today. We don't talk, but I've told her thank you. She was like the security officer at Job Corps, and I was sitting in front of her desk, and I told her, I said, what do I need to do? They were able to cut off calls, screen those calls. And she said, if you want to, press charges, then you will probably need to go home, because that's where it was. And I remember looking at her with tears in my eyes, like,
I can't go home.
I can't. Like, I know that if I go home, then I'm not coming back. And I just pretty much told her, like, he's taken so much from me. He can't take this. And I felt it took me a while to get over that guilt, because again, justice, we want justice, right? But I knew deep down, like, it's like a knowing of like, if you go home, you're not going to get back here, because she's like, you can come back. And blah, blah. I'm like, no. So that's when it stopped. I had one call after I had graduated. He never knew where I was after that. And somehow, I don't know how and what, but I remember talking to him. I believe I was married already to my husband. And I just pretty much was like, you will never have access to my family.
Never,
ever.
And
that was the last time I talked to him in any way, shape, or form. But he never knew. Outside of the Job Corps campus, I knew that was a new start and a new life for me. But I had to forgive him. I did. I processed that. I even told God, like, if he's on his deathbed, I will even minister to him. Like, I came to understand that at the end of the day, like, and I remember God telling me, let me say this first. God would tell me that his justice is better than mine. I remember that as a young person. Like, I would hear this over and over, because I would get so angry and I didn't understand why I was navigating this, especially with him. Yeah. It just didn't make no sense, the stuff that he would do. And I remember God said, vengeance is mine. And that would just give me peace. Like, I knew that I didn't need to do something.
Isn't that comforting?
Oh my gosh, it was so much.
That's comforting to know, God, you'll take care of it. Because
he probably knew Lora was on the verge. I remember that. So I understood that eventually that I would have to pray for him, because I don't think I did that immediately, but I would have to pray for him like I would pray for my mom, because I prayed for them differently, obviously, right? I don't know why, but it was different.
Would you So you felt in your heart that there may be a time if he's on his deathbed, you would be willing
I
to
would have
pour
been
into
willing.
him.
I would have been willing.
Do you feel that about your mom?
I do. I've asked her. We've had short conversations about, because she's had a diagnosis of cancer in the past year. So there's things that have been almost, at that point of like, Mom, like, do you know God?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that would be easier. For some reason, that would come easier. It was him that wouldn't come naturally for. So that was work. That was progress for me to get to a point to say, God, if you ever asked me to do that, I would be willing. That came a lot later. For her, that's easy work.
Yeah.
For whatever reason. It's just that was easier. For him, that was a process. Because I had to also feel like he deserved that. Right? Like I felt like my mom deserved, because I understood that she was a victim of his.
Yeah.
Right? I can side with the victim. I'm an advocate, right? I'm out here working with young people that had the life she had in mind. So that's easy. But for him, he was a perpetrator all day. And obviously he was a victim of something, right? If we think about it from that perspective.
Yeah, hurt people hurt people.
Yeah, he was a victim of something. I just never knew his story enough to understand that. So all of the interactions we've had and what I've seen and the impact he made on our family, he was the person causing that harm.
I mean, and there's such a spirit of perversion.
Yes.
And
Yes.
it is definitely spiritual.
Definitely.
It's spiritual. There has to be a covering over somebody's eyes and heart to keep them from seeing that's
To
spiritual.
justify that.
Because if your mom can be in the room with you, knowing it happened makes me want to defend little Lora.
Yeah.
So being in the space and like having you grow inside of my body, there's no way. There's no
I know
way.
you can't even imagine it,
No.
right? Yeah. So, fast forward, I have my first daughter, and I had went through a process of forgiving of her, but when I held my first daughter, all of that bitterness, that resentment, all of that flood, all of that came back. I was just like, I don't understand. Like 1, I can't even imagine. 6, what are you talking about? So, definitely, I had to go through that process, another layer of that, because once I held, like you're saying, your child, you just can't even fathom what would cause that.
I couldn't even see how drugs could be more important than there was nothing that was more important than my kid at that point. But you said married. So how long have you been married?
Oh gosh. If he was here, I'd be like, what? You better know the number. So our oldest is 22, so it's about 23, 24 years.
23 or 24
Yeah.
years.
So we got married and then she came along.
Did this at least you did it right.
Yeah.
I did it completely opposite.
Don't.
I mean, we're at 26 years together.
We listen and we don't judge.
But it definitely went the other way.
Yeah.
But God was in that too. I
Yes, he
was created for him.
I know, that's right.
That's my guy.
I can see that. Yeah.
But some of the things I went through affected how I related to
Oh yeah.
my
Most
husband.
Definitely. Yeah.
Did you have that?
Yeah. I mean, from an intimacy standpoint, which is weird because I was wilding out in the world.
Yeah.
But I understand it's a covenant, right? The enemy is after your covenants. Anything that's pure and holy, he ain't gonna take nothing that's unholy.
Yeah, for what? For what?
So when it becomes, consolidated in that component, I don't know if you noticed that once y'all did get married, if it changed. Did you notice that?
Yeah. Well, I noticed all of it.
Okay. So
Yeah.
for me, that's what I noticed. It's like once that covenant, it became pure and holy in the marriage bed. Like I had to heal in my intimacy because it was broken so young. And honestly, what I'm so thankful for too is that I was able to process that with a husband that is safe, right? Like you just think about women who've done that trauma, don't even know that this is going to be an issue. Because that was the thing. I didn't know it was going to be an issue because I hadn't had any issues before that. But now coming into marriage, I'm like, what? Like, why I don't feel safe? Why is these flashes of memories coming to my mind in this situation that doesn't make any sense to me? So just to process that with him and get to a point where I just had a moment with God and actually God spoke this it was at a church service. One of the guest speakers, he called people up there for healing. I was already praying for healing in that area. And he said, I just feel like you need healing in your intimacy. I was undone. But yeah, it had to do with the trauma. It had to do with that, yeah.
So if you could Lead us out with anything.
Okay.
Tell me, what was that aha, this is God moment that changed the trajectory of how you turned your trauma into triumph?
Wow. It was actually at Job Corps, even though I feel like that was the beginning of it. There was a young lady that I couldn't stand because she got us in trouble every night. She would be on the phone crying, crying, crying. And it was past curfew. And I thought it was a guy. I'm like, leave him. Just leave him, girl. Like, you know. So one day I overhear that they have to escort her to the front gate, which was abnormal. It was just not something Job Corps did. You know, we're young adults, but we could get up to the gate. So I just asked her, like, girl, why they gotta escort you to the gate? What's going on? And she began to tell me that she was getting abused sexually by her brother on the weekends. And my world stopped. Because all the while I'm frustrated, I'm angry, I'm like, you're getting us in trouble, I'm insensitive. And during this week or this time frame, I was asking God why. I was in that why season with God. Like, why did this have to happen to me? Why me? You know? So here I am, fast forward, I'm talking to her. If you ever watched the video, a movie or a TV show where it kind of pauses and you hear this voice, that's what happened. And the voice is like, this is why. And I begin to minister to her while I'm processing my healing. I'm like 16, like, hello. And that's when I knew that God would use me. That's when I knew. That's when I knew. So my encouragement to people that even while you're healing, or even if you don't know you need to be healed, because sometimes you don't even realize it, that you've blocked quite a bit out, is to start serving start serving you. Because when we serve these girls, you would say that, right? And when you see a reflection, I always tell them, it's like I'm with my homies.
Yeah.
I see a reflection of me in them. You know, our stories are not always exact. It doesn't have to be, but there's a level of it that you understand. And I feel like if women would start to just serve a reflection of you, God will heal you on the way.
My gosh. Oh my gosh. You all serve a reflection of you.
Yeah, the broken you. Be what you aren't.
That's
and just
good.
start there and then start asking God better questions. That's what I teach the ladies at Bible study. Start asking God better questions, because I don't think we ask the right questions.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Laura, first of all, I love you to pieces.
Yes, love you too.
You know that. And so I want us to continue in these conversations. And at some point, even I want a whole panel of us to get up here, us survivors.
That would be awesome.
And we're going to have a whole in-depth conversation. And I want to make sure that I encourage you. I'm telling her now while we're doing this, so she makes sure that she comes back, which I don't think that will be an issue
Not
anyway. But I so appreciate you for coming. And
thank you
being
for the
transparent
opportunity.
and telling your story. Don't thank me for the opportunity.
Yes, thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. Let me pour into you, Marie.
Thank you.
So I appreciate you. You guys, this has been heavy, but look at her. I mean, my God, what he will do.
Oh my God,
what he will do. So thank you all for watching. This has been Unfostered. God bless. See you all next time.
Bye.
Bye.